Hey guys, Welsknight here, and welcome back to Magic the Gathering Arena. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. I'm having a fantastic day. Today we are taking a look at our first standard deck since Innistrad Midnight Hunt released. I'm super excited, and it is an Azorius, so a blue-white spirits deck. Taking advantage of some older cards like Vega the Watcher from Kaldheim, but then also taking advantage of some of the new stuff like Patrician Geist from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. So the deck is pretty straightforward, very low mana curve. We've got at 1 mana, 3 copies of Homestead Courage. It is a 1 mana sorcery that lets you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature we control and give it vigilance until end of turn, and then you can cast it again from your graveyard with flashback for 1 mana. The effect, the +1/+1 counter and vigilance, is not really that important, but we have this card in the deck because you can cast it from your graveyard for super cheap, and you can cast it in general for super cheap, and that'll be relevant, you'll see in just a minute. Then we've also got 4 copies of Lunarch Veteran. This is another new card. It's a 1 mana 1/1 that says whenever another creature enters the battlefield under our control, we gain a life, and then after it dies, we can cast it for its disturb cost from the graveyard, so 1 generic and a white, to bring it back to the battlefield as its transformed side Luminous Phantom, which is a 1/1 flyer that says whenever another creature we control leaves the battlefield, we gain a life. And then if it dies after it's become Luminous Phantom, it gets exiled. Then we've got 3 copies of Portable Hole. It is a cheap removal spell. 1 mana, when it enters the battlefield, we exile a non-land permanent an opponent controls with mana value 2 or less. So gets rid of stuff like Ranger class, gets rid of cheap creatures. It's good in the early game, and it's another 1 mana spell. Why do we care about all these cheap spells? Well, we have 4 copies of Clarion Spirit. Another spirit, it's 2 mana 2/2 that says whenever you cast your second spell each turn, we create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So we want to be casting 2 spells per turn whenever possible, which is why we have all these cheap spells and things that we can cast for cheap from the graveyard, like Homestead Courage, Lunarch Veteran. We can cast them twice and get a lot of value from them. Then we have 4 copies of Baithook Angler, another new card. It is a 2 mana 2/1 that is just a normal vanilla human peasant, but then after it dies, we can cast it from the graveyard for its disturb cost of 1 generic and a blue to turn it into Hook Haunt Drifter, which is a 1/2 flying spirit that, once again, if it dies after it's been transformed, it gets exiled. So another cheap spirit that we can cast from our graveyard. Then we've got 4 copies of Devoted Grafkeeper. 1 white and 1 blue for a 2/1 human peasant that says when Devoted Grafkeeper enters the battlefield, we mill 2 cards. So we put 2 cards from the top of our library into the graveyard. And then whenever we cast a spell from our graveyard, which we're going to be doing a lot of in this deck, we can tap an opponent's creature. And then on top of that, Devoted Grafkeeper also can be turned into a spirit after it dies. We pay 1 generic, 1 white, and 1 blue for its disturb cost and turn it into Departed Soulkeeper, which is just a 3/1 flying spirit that can only block creatures with flying, but this is a pretty aggressive deck. And if it dies after it's transformed, just like all these departed creatures, it gets exiled instead. Then we've got 4 copies of Faithful Mending. It is a 1 white, 1 blue for an instant that says you gain 2 life, draw 2 cards, and then discard 2 cards. And it again has flashback, which is kind of like Disturb. We can cast it from the graveyard for its flashback cost. 1 generic, 1 white, and 1 blue. So you're kind of seeing a theme here. Lots of stuff that we can cast and then cast again from the graveyard. Then for our 3 mana stuff, we have 3 copies of Skyclave Apparition. This is from Zendikar, and it is a fantastic sort of pseudo-removal creature. 1 generic and 2 white for a core spirit. So again, spirit creature. And it is a 2/2 that says when it enters the battlefield, we exile 1 target non-land, non-token permanent we don't control. So we basically exile one of our opponent's things that's 4 mana or less, and then when it leaves the battlefield, instead of getting their thing back, they get a XX blue illusion token where X is the mana value of the exiled card. So if we were to exile, for example, a Clarion Spirit, after the Skyclave Apparition goes, they would get a 2/2 illusion token because Clarion Spirit is 2 mana. Then One of the all-stars of the deck, we got 4 copies of Patrician Geist. It is a 2/2 for 2 and a blue. It is a Spirit Knight with flying. It says, other spirits we control get +1/+1, and pretty much every creature in the deck is a spirit or can become a spirit after it gets cast from the graveyard for its disturb cost. And then on top of that, it also says, spells you cast from your graveyard cost 1 generic mana less to cast. So it gives us a discount on all the stuff that we're casting from the graveyard. And then we've got 3 copies of Vega the Watcher. 1 generic, 1 white, 1 blue for a 2/2 legendary bird spirit with flying. And it says, whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, which would include our graveyard, we draw a card. So all of this stuff together gets a lot of things being cast out of the graveyard. We get a lot of value from Vega. Patrician Geist gives us a discount, pumps all of our spirits. We generate a ton of spirits from Clarion Spirit by casting multiple spells per turn to generate creature tokens, and then we buff them with Patrician Geist and smash our enemy's face for the win. As for the mana base, it's super straightforward. 8 plains, 8 islands, 4 of the new dual land from Innistrad. It is basically straightforward. It gives you blue or white, and it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands, and then 4 copies of the blue-white pathway, which can come in your choice of blue or white. So, yeah, that's the deck. Let's jump into some games. Okay, we are on the draw, and 3 blue but no white mana. I think we have to mulligan this, honestly. If we if we draw a plains or a white mana source, we're in business. I think we're going to keep it. Maybe a greedy keep on my part. But we do have Faithful Mending. Like, if we draw 1 white, we can kind of fix everything else. So I think we're going to keep it. Especially with us drawing first. Okay, they're on a discard deck. We'll just discard the Homestead Courage. We can cast it again later. And it's not really doing anything for us right now. Okay, so here, let's play the island. And then next turn we can play Deserted Beach. Get our Grafkeeper out and start doing stuff. Because it enters tapped if we had played it as our second land. So we wouldn't have been able to use it anyway. Thankfully, they've got a bunch of little cheap creatures. Could be a deck with a lot of removal. We've already seen discard effects as well, so maybe they're going to try and just make us discard our whole hand and stuff. But this deck is actually pretty okay against discard effects because we have so many things that can enter from the graveyard. So let's go here. And let's just cast our Devoted Grafkeeper. We milled another Devoted Grafkeeper. That's fine. Next turn, we can cast Skyclave Apparition and get rid of their Jaren. Unless they somehow make us discard both of our Skyclave Apparitions, which is fairly unlikely. We'll just take the damage here. That's fine. Ooh, Clarion Spirit. That's a good draw. But I think we need to get this Jaren off the battlefield so we can stabilize a little bit. And, I mean, we might as well attack with Grafkeeper. We're not planning to block with him. So the next turn, we probably cast Clarion Spirit and either Faithful Mending or Homestead Courage. Or we cast our other Devoted Grafkeeper from the graveyard. Maybe that's the way to go. We won't have enough white mana for Skyclave Apparition and Clarion Spirit. So let's see what they do here. Demon's Disciple. Okay. I think we'll just sack Skyclave Apparition. Yeah. Just sack that. That's fine. Looks like they might be on the Cleric deck that has Funeral Pyre or whatever in it. Okay, this is actually pretty good. So let's go Clarion Spirit and Clarion Spirit. And no attacks. Double Clarion Spirit's pretty good. They are definitely on some sort of Clerics deck. No doubt about that. They don't have any other Clerics in their graveyard, so I'm just going to block the Demon's Disciple. That's fine. Get their Veteran back. Okay, we got a portable hole. So this is 4 mana, so I think we go... Not having another white source is kind of killing us right now. So let's actually go Faithful Mending. Discard Faithful Mending and Portable Hole. Play this as a white source, and then Skyclave Apparition, exiling Aura. And no attacks. Okay, they have another Aura. So let's see here. I think we can block the Disciple and the token. And take 4? Ah, there we go. Let's do this. Okay. So I think here we're going to go Faithful Mending. Tap the Skyclave Hierophant. Discard those two. Play Vega. And might as well attack with the Clarion Spirits, because we're not going to block with them. We are pretty low on health, so I actually wouldn't mind drawing one of our own Lunarch Veterans so we can start gaining some life back. Okay, Dawnbringer Cleric, that's fine. We're probably gonna... Oh, I thought they were gonna exile one of our things. That would have been probably the smarter thing to do. But we'll block that. And then, what do they got here? They could get back a Demon's Disciple. Yeah, let's just do this. We'll just jump block. We can generate more spirits with Clarion Spirit pretty easily. Especially with Vega here. Okay, so first I think what we'll do is play Baithook Angler. See what we draw off of Vega. Let's tap down the Dawnbringer Cleric. Okay, another Clarion Spirit's a pretty good draw. And then, let's go here. White. And I guess we'll just cast our other Devoted Grafkeeper. It doesn't matter what we tap down here. And then we can attack with, honestly, most of this stuff. Get in for some damage. Ah, there's the Pyre of Heroes. Don't think I really have any artifact removal other than Skyclave Apparition. And we only have 3 of them in the deck. One of them's on the field and one of them's in the graveyard, or one of them's in our graveyard. So we'd have to draw it, and there's 37 cards in our deck, so it's pretty unlikely. But it is possible. Skyclave Pyre of Heroes, for those of you unfamiliar. 2 mana, tap it, sacrifice a creature, then search your deck for a creature with the value of that creature +1. So, pretty annoying card to deal with, honestly. Let's go Faithful Mending here, see what we get. Tap down that. Okay, probably just discard 2 lands. And then let's cast again here. Tap down that. Okay, discard 2 lands. Play that as a blue land. And then we can attack with quite a lot of spirits here. We've got kind of a flying army. There we go. And then we also have Faithful Mending here that we can make use of during their turn to tap something down if they're going to attack. Okay, Righteous Valkyrie. It's a pretty good one. See what they sacrifice and get back here. Gonna get a 2-drop. See what they get. We've got Dawnbringer Cleric, Elderfang Disciple. Those are the only 2-drops I think we've seen so far in the deck. Yeah. Okay, Priest of the Haunted Edge. They're going to gain some life off of that. And then I think we'll go Faithful Mending now. Discarding the 2 planes. Oh, has to be from the graveyard. What am I doing? That's fine. Okay, so go Faithful Mending. Tap down the Tabaraks. Discarding those 2. Okay, play a Lunarch Veteran. That'll help us get some life back. And then we can go Homestead Courage. Tapping down the Righteous Valkyrie. Play... How much damage do I have? I've got 5 here, 6, 7, 8. I'm at 12? We're really close to lethal, but we're not quite there. Not quite there. So let's attack with everything except for these 2. Actually, do we have lethal if we attack with everything on the ground? Let's see. They've got 3 ground blockers. One of them does have lifelink, though, so that's not going to help us. So we attack with everything else. And then we'll play land and play out our other Lunarch Veteran. And I guess we will end the turn there, because we want to be able to cast 2 spells from our graveyard to tap down these 2 creatures again next turn. Also, we're back up to 17 life. They can sacrifice their priest to kill something, which is fine. Okay, they got another priest. I think we've got them next turn, because we have a lot of spirits, and none of their flyers have lifelink. So they kind of need a sweeper. They can make use of Pyre of Heroes once, but I don't know how much it's going to help them. Elite Spellbinder. Okay, that's fine. They'll make our Vega a little bit more expensive, but it's our second Vega, so we don't really care. It's a legendary creature, so we can't have more than one on the battlefield at a time anyway. So first things first, let's go ahead and cast Homestead Courage and put it on... It doesn't really matter. Put it on Vega, I guess. And that's probably going to do it. Patrician Geist will buff all of our spirits. So we'll just attack with everything, but not the stuff on the ground. There we go. That should do it. It's a lot of damage. And there we go. GG. So we kind of got to see what the deck does there. Just generate a lot of spirits, especially stuff up in the air that's hard to block. Build up a massive army. Pick away unless they have things that can block you. Pretty good. Let's get another game. Okay, we are on the draw again. Not a great hand, but I think it's keepable. Be great if we could draw one of our 1 or 2 drop creatures. Homestead Courage is not really helping us. Maybe it will eventually, but not yet. So blue-red could be a number of different decks. Clarion Spirit's a great draw here. It might die. They might zap it with some sort of red removal spell, but we'll see. Next turn we probably go Vega. Yep, next turn we definitely go Vega. So let's go here. We actually care less about them killing Vega than we do about them killing Clarion Spirit, so... Okay. Get in for 2. Hopefully next turn we can go Patrician Geist and Homestead Courage. Foretell could be a number of different things. Okay, Devoted Grafkeeper is fine, I guess. It's not exciting, but... Come on. There we go. So mill 2 cards, not a big deal. Homestead Courage, create a spirit. Put a counter on Clarion Spirit. Test of Talents. Okay. So they're going to exile all of our Homestead Courages in our deck. Draw some new cards. Did they just decide not to take the one in our hand? I guess they just decided not to take the one in our hand. Okay. So it's a mill deck. We've figured that much out. Okay, so we're just going to go... Man, not being able... We need land, like, pretty badly. I think we just go Patrician Geist here. Attack with everything. And now they basically need a sweeper. Or a way to mill our entire deck in one turn, which could happen. Yeah, dual strike. Probably some sort of... Tasha's Hideal... Okay. That's actually pretty rough. That could be... That's a good chunk of our deck. But not one card. We had one card left. They almost got us. I'll take it. Not too bad. So yeah, that's the deck. I mean, 2 games, because this deck is a little bit slower. It does tend to have sort of longer games than, say, like an aggro deck or something like that, because you're basically trying to get a lot of value out of graveyard stuff and recursion and sort of pick away at your opponent little by little. But it's a fun deck. It's been... kind of a pleasant surprise. I didn't think it was going to be that good, but overall, I've been really happy with how it's been performing. So, yeah. As always, deck list in the description. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Links in the description below, so check that out as well. Otherwise, my friends, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.